Good morning, respected chairperson, distinguished reviewers, and fellow researchers. My name is Nani Menon from NCDRC, UPSI, Malaysia. Today, I am honored to present our study entitled, What Makes Children Read Fluently? An Expert Consensus in Developing the KeBaL Model. This study presents the development of the KeBaL model, an oral reading fluency teaching strategy model for Malaysian preschools, developed through expert consensus. Why reading fluency matters. Reading fluency is important because it serves as a bridge between word recognition and reading comprehension. When children can read words accurately, automatically, and with appropriate expression, they no longer need to use most of their mental effort to decode each individual word. According to the automaticity theory by LaBerge and Samuels, automatic word recognition allows children to direct more cognitive attention towards understanding the meaning of the text. In contrast, children who read slowly, hesitate frequently, or continue to sound out individual words may lose the overall meaning of what they are reading. Reading fluency also supports school readiness. At the preschool level, fluent early reading helps children follow classroom instructions, participate confidently in reading activities, and make a smoother transition into formal schooling. As children progress to primary school, fluent reading becomes increasingly important because reading is no longer only a skill to be learned, it becomes a tool for learning across subjects. Therefore, oral reading fluency is not simply about reading quickly. It involves accuracy, automaticity, and prosody, which support comprehension, confidence, and future academic learning. In other words, children who read fluently can focus on meaning rather than decoding one word at a time. Problem statement. Despite the recognized importance of reading fluency, many children are still unable to read fluently before entering primary school. This concern is reflected in both international and national evidence. At the international level, the PISA 2022 results showed that Malaysia continues to perform below the OECD average in reading literacy, indicating that many students still struggle to understand written texts. At the national level, the Ministry of Education reported that 122,062 Year 1 students had not yet mastered the basic 3M skills, which are reading, writing, and numeracy. This suggests that many children begin primary school without sufficient reading proficiency. A similar pattern can be seen even earlier at the preschool level. The IPPK KeMa's 2025 assessment found that 51% of preschool children were still at literacy stages 1 and 2, meaning they had not yet achieved the expected reading level before entering Year 1. These findings highlight a common problem. Children with poor reading fluency often read with frequent hesitations, pause repeatedly, sound out individual words, and skip words. Because so much attention is spent on decoding, they struggle to understand the meaning of the text. This increases their cognitive load, reduces their confidence to read aloud, and makes the transition into primary school more challenging. Therefore, there is a clear need for a systematic and explicit teaching strategy to develop oral reading fluency in Malaysian preschools. Research gap. Previous Malaysian studies have investigated various instructional approaches such as phonics, repeated reading, songs, instructional modules, and technology-assisted learning. However, these approaches were generally examined independently. There remains limited integration of these practices into one comprehensive teaching strategy model. Therefore, the objective of this study was to develop the KeBaL model through expert consensus. Oral reading fluency comprises three essential elements: accuracy, reading rate, and prosody. Fluent readers understand the meaning of a text without decoding word by word. They read at an appropriate rate while maintaining comprehension, and use meaningful intonation, pauses, stress, and expression during oral reading. Therefore, ORF is much more than reading quickly. The development of the KeBaL model was guided by 6 complementary theories. These theories explain different aspects of children's reading development, including automaticity, reinforcement, cognitive processing, scaffolding, reading development, and word recognition. Together, these theories provided the theoretical foundation for the KeBaL model. The 7 teaching strategies incorporated into the KeBaL model were not selected arbitrarily. Each strategy is supported by established learning theories and reinforced by previous empirical studies. This combination ensured that every strategy included in the KeBaL model was evidence-based and pedagogically justified. DDR methodology. Phase 2 consisted of 2 expert-based stages. First, a focus group discussion involving 9 experts identified 6 key themes related to oral reading fluency teaching strategy. These themes were synthesized and mapped to the sequential iterative model and direct instruction to develop the proposed KeBaL model components. Next, the proposed components were validated by 15 experts using the fuzzy Delphi method. Only elements that met all predefined consensus criteria were retained, resulting in the final KeBaL model. This slide presents the final KeBaL model developed in Phase 2. The model integrates learning objectives, oral reading fluency and reading content, teaching strategies, and oral reading fluency assessment into one comprehensive teaching strategy model. It translates theoretical foundations, empirical evidence, and expert consensus into practical classroom guidance for preschool teachers. Findings. The first component of the KeBaL model focuses on learning objectives. 5 learning objectives were proposed to guide oral reading fluency instruction in Malaysian preschools. The FDM analysis showed that all 5 learning objectives satisfied the required threshold value, expert consensus and defuzzification score. Therefore, all proposed learning objectives were accepted and incorporated into the final KeBaL model. The second component focuses on reading content. 8 proposed reading content elements were presented to the expert panel. 7 elements fulfilled all FDM acceptance criteria and were accepted. These elements include word reading, phrase reading, simple sentence reading, comprehension, correct pronunciation, and intonation, pausing and expression. Only extensive reading did not satisfy the criteria and was rejected. The third component focuses on teaching strategies. All 7 proposed teaching strategies fulfilled the FDM acceptance criteria and were accepted by the expert panel. The expert panel reached a clear consensus that oral reading fluency should be assessed using 3 essential elements: accuracy, reading rate, and prosody. The first element is accuracy, which refers to the child's ability to read words correctly with minimal errors. Experts agreed that accuracy should be assessed using the percentage of words read correctly, providing an objective measure of decoding performance. The second element is reading rate, which reflects how efficiently a child reads connected text. Reading rate is measured using words correct per minute, or WCPM, which indicates the level of automatic word recognition while maintaining accuracy. The third element is prosody, which represents expressive reading. It includes appropriate intonation, pausing, and expression, enabling children to convey meaning naturally during oral reading. Experts agreed that prosody should be evaluated using a structured prosody rubric. Together, these 3 assessment elements provide a comprehensive evaluation of oral reading fluency and were incorporated into the final KeBaL model based on expert consensus. The KeBaL model contributes to early childhood education in 3 important ways. First, it contributes theoretically by integrating multiple learning theories into one comprehensive teaching strategy model. Second, it contributes methodologically by demonstrating a systematic model development process using DDR, FGD and FDM. Third, it contributes practically by providing preschool teachers with structured guidance for planning, implementing and assessing oral reading fluency instruction. To conclude, this study identified the key instructional components that experts agreed are essential for developing oral reading fluency in Malaysian preschools. These components include clear learning objectives, developmentally appropriate reading content, balanced attention to accuracy, reading rate, and prosody, evidence-based teaching strategies, and aligned assessment. Based on expert consensus, these components were synthesized into the KeBaL model, providing a structured oral reading fluency teaching strategy model for Malaysian preschools. Thank you.